Well, welcome back to Chiefs fans before we were cool. Um, full disclosure, I had some early internet problems tonight, so this is the third attempt to start this. So I'm just going to say we're glad to be here, or at least I'm glad to be here.
We're glad to have you here and glad that your internet is working because that's always the best. So,
Yep.
yeah,
Restarting the computer or restarting the router. It's what the IT people tell you to do all the time, and I listened to their advice tonight. I didn't call them, but I just, listened to the advice I knew that they would give me. So
you could just go get a job in IT now.
you know what? Yeah, I could say I was an IT person before the Chiefs were good. Oh, that's not true. They're good now. So I could say I was an IT person before I was cool. But
Awesome.
anyway, it's always
Well,
fun recording after a winning week too. That's more fun.
I know. Well, we almost, there was that moment. I love how we both, so after the first two touchdowns from the Raiders, we're both like horrified. And there's some text on the chain about like losing to the Raiders and stuff. And then nobody said anything. We're like, okay, we start coming back. We're like, okay, this is good. This is fine. Like, but nobody what we just were like
Yeah,
that's where everybody just like, oh, we're losing the Raiders. It's the worst. And
you
even
know,
when you won, like you don't feel good about it because you're supposed to beat them.
yeah,
Like you're just kind of like, oh, all right, we won. Good job.
yeah. Like I made the joke with the people we were watching with. Oh, we're just spotting them 14 points, and then somebody said, "Well, let's not spot them anymore," which I agree with. But I'll say this, and I definitely think this at times, but it was funny because the person who verbalized this was my mom. She said, "You know what? This is probably kind of messed up, but I get some enjoyment that they probably thought that they were going to win for a little while, and then we destroyed them." And that's just like so funny coming from my mom because she's like one of the
That is
nicest people.
that is hilarious coming from your mom. That makes that game almost worth talking about.
Yeah, yeah. But
I'm
before
just
we
kidding.
go there, we got some memes.
Got some memes, man. Let's get some memes here. Raider fans crying over Derek Carr getting traded. That is really sad. Is there a movie reference I'm missing?
I don't. It's not a movie reference, and I think it's an older thing. But there's a joke that a lot of Raiders fans or a lot of Raiders players are, have criminal records. Um,
Oh, my word.
So
That's the
there's like
yeah,
the
yeah.
want to dress
I
up as a
should have
Raiders
gotten that.
player, wear an ankle monitor, that kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
so,
Oof.
which they actually
That's
had a player that met that stereotype. I don't remember who it was, but they were talking about during the game that he had been arrested before this week leading up to the
yeah,
game.
yeah,
So
yeah. That's true. That has happened a lot. So missing Derek Carr is sad. I feel like they should feel sad. Like, I don't
yeah,
know. Jimmy Garoppolo was a lateral move, probably a little bit of downgrade. I don't know
lateral
if you
or an
can win with
interception
Derek
move,
Carr
if you know
though.
what I mean.
I think the new quarterback market makes it tricky.
Yeah,
Uh, Quarterback market makes it tricky because now you have to really pay for even a above average quarterback or an average quarterback. Daniel Jones, Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, all these quarterbacks are like, well, hey, I'm pretty good. So everybody else is going for 50 plus million. So what about 35,
yeah,
40? And it's just, I don't think it's worth it for franchises. I think, but the hard thing is like you look at life with a backup and it's not worth it either.
yeah,
Like how many backups have really worked out? Geno Smith, right? The backups come in. There've been a few that have like buried the load pretty well for teams.
yeah,
There's a couple high quality backups, but even those backups, like you're not gonna like get past the first round of the playoffs with them. We really
yeah,
haven't seen that since actually we did see that with the Eagles. So
yeah.
I guess there's a few exceptions every once in a while, but they're never worth it
Well, and
because even yeah,
yeah, even last year with Geno Smith, like you have these backups who, excuse me, who maybe played really well for a while, but at some point, it's like they can't make it to that next level, and people catch up to what they're doing. Like even Zach Wilson looked really good the first few games of the season, and then tanked pretty hard.
that's true. Yeah, so there's just such a difference between having a quarterback, but And it's just so hard. Like even drafting them, like you draft quarterbacks, and CJ Stroud seems legit, but as far as rookie
Yeah.
quarterbacks, he's the main one. Like it's really looking like he's going to be the real thing. So
Yep.
see. Um.
All right.
Anyway,
Next one.
Patrick Mahomes watching receivers drop passes through. It's true. I think it was only one this
There's
game.
only one this week, but that was
Yeah.
just I saw that and I was like, that's still too relevant. So
Relevant. Nah, I mean, hey, it was last week. That's so last
that's
week. I don't,
that's so last week. That meme's like a week old, which in internet years
again,
is like 7.
might have a game like, against the Lions or against the Eagle. Like we can have those games, unfortunately, with the receiving core we have. Like even Rashid Rice, who's been amazing. We'll talk about him more later. He drops passes, and that's just a problem
Yeah.
that he has, and that's something to be
He had
just
one
understand. It's a
drop
part
that
of
was
our team.
on him. He had one drop that really was supposed to be a screen pass, but it was kind of put in a place that was really hard to get. He touched it, but it would have been really hard to catch.
Right.
But
I'm just a general.
yeah.
Okay. Raiders in the first quarter, Raiders in the second quarter. I like it. I like
Yep.
it. Good reference. I got that one. Although we're not in Philly anymore, so it's not quite as
True.
appropriate. But
And this last one, not relating to the Chiefs, but just the week in general.
Viking fans for the play. Yeah, it's true. The way that Josh Dobbs played for the first few games, and everybody's talking about it. He's amazing, and he's good. I think he's another good example of like a decent backup, but not probably going to carry you too far into the
Yeah.
postseason.
And obviously with the Vikings, it was a situation where they lost their starter. They felt like they had a really strong team that had a potential for a playoff push. And so, they tried what they could.
Yeah, we'll see. I mostly got mad that the play calling right at the end of the game because it actually lost me my fantasy week. I was ahead after the TJ Hawkinson touchdown, and then they get the ball back, and it's like I just need one reception to TJ Hawkinson and then kneel out and win the game. But instead of like really going for the first down, they just had two run plays that went nowhere because of course they're going to try to run. They do two run plays that go nowhere, and then it's like a third and long, and it's incomplete. Like I was just like, throw on first or second. Like I know you're trying to run out clock, but you have to get the first down. If you get
Yeah.
the first down, you're in good shape. If you don't, like, what are you doing? You just had a drive where you were very productive. Anyway, I was so annoyed
Yep.
at the play call in there, and it ended up costing me my fantasy week. But
Yep.
life goes on.
Yep. Now
Uh,
you're in a do or die situation. So
do or die with a really nice guy that I would rather us both be in the play.
yeah.
I think it's going to be a real disappointing season for both of us, either of us, whoever disappoints.
And Chris, because I know you're watching, welcome to the losers bracket with me.
Well, we get to Brother Wonders, I guess, next. That
Yeah,
seems like
that's a good transition.
good transition. Let me pull up those. Yeah, one of them is very related, so we'll start with it. Why are we all so bad at fantasy?
Oh man.
So I'm going to tell you what I told a middle schooler this year that's probably cursed me to lose this game this week. I've been in 10 fantasy leagues and I've never missed the playoffs. So I think I'm still pretty good, even if even if I don't make it this year. Which now that I've said it, I'm probably not going to make it this year. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's really
Well,
funny. This is my better team with your league, and probably not going to make. Well, I mean, again, it's maybe a coin flip, but my other league, my team is not nearly as good, but I'm locked in already. So I just am like, okay, it's fantasy is kind of random, and it is what it is.
yeah. Well, I can tell you why I'm so bad at fantasy. Besides fantasy being just really dumb luck, right? Because it's more about what the person who goes against you does. The reason I'm so bad at fantasy is because like you get to the draft and I'm just too loyal to the Chiefs. It's like if there's a Raiders or a Chargers or Broncos player who's better, but there's another team's player who's slightly worse, I'll take that other player. Or like, I don't, if I can help it, like if I have options, I don't start players on the opposing team in my lineup. Like this week, it worked out okay. Excuse me. I didn't start Devonte Adams because I was like, I don't want any reason to hope he does well. And that's why I suck at fantasy, because I'm like, I don't want to cheer for the other guy at all. So I'm just not going to start him. And that's probably not the best move if you actually want to be good at it. But I'm
Hey.
sticking to my guns.
If that makes you enjoy the week better, like you're doing fantasy right. Like frankly, like I stress about it, think about all this time, and you do all this stuff. Like, and then I really have very little control over it. And even if you get to the playoffs, you have to have like a 75% chance of winning any given week to actually have a chance, more than 50%
Yeah.
chance of winning the whole thing. So you're really flipping a coin at that point. So anyway,
Yeah.
you're right, bro. You called us out. We are kind of bad. We're all kind of bad, but we'll see.
I will say this though. This year, the first year I was doing like a in the ESPN app. Sorry, I'm just really dry today. I'm doing like a pick'em league where you just pick the winner of each game that you think ahead of the start of the week. And I am in 95% right now on the season. Well, like 94.8 on picking the games. And that's surprising because I picked the Bengals to lose everything just because I didn't want them to win. So
never change. Never change. All right, let's get some other questions here. What are some teams that you feel are either better or worse than the record would suggest?
All right,
I
I'll
think
go
the
with
Chiefs.
The Chiefs
Clearly better than
better,
this.
yeah. The
That's a
Broncos
little
are worse.
self-serving now.
The Broncos are worse. I'm just gonna say it. They're on a 5-game winning streak, but they've beaten backup quarterbacks, a quarterback who had the flu, and a couple of mediocre teams, right? Like the Packers, and Josh Allen's just not playing well against good defenses at all right now. So they're better than they seem like they're going to be. But I've seen a bunch of Broncos posts saying we're going to the playoffs. You know, this is our year. I don't think they've got a good enough team to go deep in the playoffs at all. I just think they've played teams that they're not
to
their
all our
peak.
rival teams. I just don't ever see these things that you see.
What? Yeah. Well, yeah. There's actually something that came out that basically Facebook, because you read and maybe sometimes type messages to things you disagree with, Facebook will give you things like that because it says, oh, there's interaction here when they see this.
Oh, that's right. The filters. I was wondering that when I asked the question. Yeah. Filters.
Yeah.
That's really fun. I did a big graduate paper on that, but it's cool. Random stuff.
This is gonna dangerous question, but what are your views on the Cowboys? Are they overrated, underrated? Do you think they're actually, this is a pretty good year? They might go deep.
Yeah. I think they got a shot this year. I'm more confident in them than the past. I think their defense has gotten a little bit less streaky with the way that they're playing, a little bit less gambles while still keeping some of that aggression that makes them so good. So I'm optimistic. I think, frankly, I would love to see them get to the NFC Championship. I think that's probably where they top out this year, just because they don't have a lot of experience getting into the postseason. It usually takes 1 or 2 years to really get into that mindset. And they still have, I mean, you saw it against the 49ers, they still can struggle at certain times depending on the opponent.
Yeah.
But they're good.
If you were going to
I'm
rank,
excited. They're really fun to watch.
If you're going to rank NFC teams, where do you put them?
I would put them at top 4, probably. I think that's pretty safe. I mean, they got beat up by the Niners, so it's hard to put them over the Niners, even with their how good they are against bad teams. Philadelphia, I think, is still the class of the NFC, and maybe they're third.
That's
is there another team I'm missing?
Yeah, I'd say Eagles, 49ers, and then Cowboys, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're pretty good. So I like the Cowboys. That might be a good example of one, you know. that's better than their record. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm I'm excited. I think the Bills are one that are surprising to be as low. I don't know if they're actually better than that though. So that's kind of the problem with
Yeah.
that. Um,
I'd say they're
the
better than their
Jaguars,
record in
I
the
don't know about the Jaguars. I don't view them as as a at the same level as the other teams at 8-3.
yeah.
So it's a big jump. And then um, yeah, no, I other than that, I don't think I have any other that I'm thinking is like
Yeah.
really overachieving or underachieving at this point.
I think if you're a Texans fan, you are probably feeling pretty good about your future.
Oh yeah, the Houston's man, Houston I love watching them. They're so fun.
Yeah.
They're coming through. So
This
yeah, that's
ooh,
another good example. Man, you're
this is
calling
gonna
out
be
all the good ones.
yeah,
I think the
sorry.
Steelers are probably not as good as 7-4 either.
That's what I was just thinking. I was like, this is not
And
gonna
the
be popular
Browns,
with
I
my
guess.
in-laws,
I mean, the
but
Browns have the big defense, so maybe they deserve to be
yeah.
7-4. But
I feel like the Steelers and the Browns are similar, but I am not convinced that the Steelers can produce enough points on offense to beat good teams.
right,
So
neither can the Browns, but their defense is probably a little better.
yeah.
So we'll see. We all know that Mike Tomlin's going to have a winning record, though, so that's good.
Yep.
All right, we're getting a little off the beaten track. So Jordan Love has been hit or miss this year. How do you feel he's going to play this game?
Not good.
Yeah, he's not consistently so far this year. He's not been good against good defenses, and he's done really well against bad ones. Like as far as a player, fantasy he's been pretty good no matter what. He hasn't had a. I mean, he
Yeah.
had a few games that are pretty bad, but
I think
anyway.
one thing I noticed in this game
Mhm.
is Spagnuolo can draw up a defense that can confuse the best quarterbacks. Like there's no question that Jalen Hurts had a hard time against our defense, against our blitz. But it seems like sometimes against teams that are less good, we blitz less often or we don't change it up as often. Like I felt like we were more conservative in our blitz packages against the Raiders. And so I'll be interested to see like if we play like we did against the Eagles, I think Jordan Love is going to have a really tough time with it. But sometimes if we just play it more safe because we're relying on our defense, he might end up with a decent amount of yards. I still don't think he's going to put up a bunch of points, but that's my thought.
Yeah, our defense is legit for sure. So I'm, yeah, I feel like I'm not too optimistic about Jordan Love, but we'll see. Maybe he'll surprise us.
You're not
Hopefully
loving
not.
his chances.
Not loving his chances. So what are some key matches in this game?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I haven't paid as much attention to the Packers this year. Um, they've just been kind of middle of the pack, I think. Like they still
No
managed
pun
to,
intended.
yeah, no pun intended. Yeah, yeah. Actually, that wasn't on purpose, surprisingly. But like they beat the Bears, which and then they upset the Lions. Lions fans are probably pretty bummed about that because of obviously the Lions are having a great year, but I think losing to the Packers probably feels like losing to the Broncos did for us or something. But I haven't really paid a ton of attention to them. There's yeah, I don't know if you have more thoughts on that. I don't see them as really a obviously anything can happen in the NFL, but I just don't see them as a team that seems like they have all the pieces they need to be very competitive at this point.
Yeah, their defense can be pretty good at times. Been inconsistent though. Uh, I think what you were mentioning, the key matchup probably be Jordan Love versus Steve Spagnuolo. Like, how is he going to act against our defense? And then hopefully our offense can continue to do well. The Raiders defense has some really cool pieces, but not
Yeah.
as a whole been very good generally.
Yeah.
It's also hard to be good when your offense is really bad. I think that's something that people forget. Um, that was the other thing. Chiefs off defenses have been bad, but a lot of times our Chief offense scores so quickly and people are playing catch up the whole time. So it's not like the defense, I feel like the defense often has been better than what their stats show. And this year
Yeah.
they're just elite. They're doing really well.
Yeah.
So I
They
think in the
give up.
same way with the Packers defense, if Jordan Love doesn't do well, even if they have some pretty good pieces there, they're not going to be able to handle the Chiefs because we'll get too many options, too many shots. So
Yeah.
between that and then maybe the run game, like if they can get the run game established, Aaron Jones has been so beat up. I don't expect him to do much, even if he plays. So it's just AJ Dillon. So as long as we can stop their big bruising back that has been pretty inconsistent this year,
Yeah.
we should be like, we're going to be fine.
Yep. Yeah. It's fun to be a night game. Those are always fun because you can get them wherever, So should we go on to talk about this week's game?
We probably should, yeah, we should probably do that a little bit.
Um, I'm going to start us off if that's okay. I've been
Yeah.
waiting for this moment.
Yeah.
There's one thing I really want to talk about tonight about what was awesome about this game. Brought a prop. I've been saying all week to my dad, to my wife, that my theme for this week was rice, rice, baby. So, going into the week, Tony is out, Hardman is out. And so I was like, man, I was like telling my dad up to the game, I was like, I really want them to maybe try Rice more because he seems like he's had more bright spots than some of the other receivers. And
yeah, all of them.
Yeah. First Chiefs rookie wide receiver to get 100 yards in a game since Dwayne Bowe's rookie season. Which at first I was like, what? Tyreek didn't get one his rookie season, but he did a lot of punts and didn't do as much consistent receiver his rookie season. But obviously he still has a couple drops. But Rice is also, I think I read this, is leading the NFL in yards after catch.
Yeah.
And he showed it on that touchdown. Now, obviously, had a good block downfield, but I'm very excited. I don't necessarily expect he's going to hit 100 yards every game now, but I would love to see him as the wide receiver one slot going forward and just in the game more because like you see so many times. I saw a meme about this week. He makes a big catch and then he's off the field the next play. Now, some of that's to rest him, I think, but it's just like I want to see him more. That's my thoughts. Obviously, it was great to have Kelsey back too. But I like Rice, as you can
You
tell.
like Rice. Yeah. Yeah, we can see less more. We can see
Yeah. Yeah.
what you doing throwing to Watson 3 times.
Yeah.
Watson doing yeah, he's the one that deserves the targets. He's earned it. He's playing better. I think he should at least be getting the level of attention our Juju got last year, if you think about that. So that's kind of what
Yeah.
I'd love to see, something closer to that role. And obviously, he still won't be catching the same spots because Juju was a zone breaker. But yeah, let's have more Rice. I'm excited about it. Like I think I mentioned before, I have some connections to his coach at SMU.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of the thing. So I talk to some people about that every once in a while. Yeah, awesome. His yards after the catch are amazing. He's young. He's playing strong. He's, like the defensive backs can't do anything. Like he's carrying them all along with him, or
Yeah. Yeah.
he's outrunning them. Like he's got a lot of physical tools, and so whatever you need to do to scheme up, just do that because our other schemes are just not being consistently working. So use the thing that works, and then that'll open up the other schemes, right? That's how you have to break people out of the ways they're playing us. Like if you want to do more things down the field, you need to break them with Rashee Rice, and then that's going to help. And then that's how offenses work. So I agree with you 100%. Should see more of that. Should see more of a role. His snap share maybe was a little bit higher because the player's missing, but it should stay. Whatever it
Yeah.
was, it should stay and really continue to feed him.
And if he becomes a clear number one or number two target, that's also going to make teams have to not double or triple cover Kelce. And obviously Kelce still had a great game, and man, Mahomes threw some passes that when you look in the replay, you're like, that had to be right there to work. Like there was one on the edge for Rice where it's right on the boundary, and then one for Kelce where it like comes right over the defender that's chasing Kelce, and it's just like, man, Mahomes was playing like himself after that first quarter too.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would have liked to have never been behind, but what we needed was to have a better second half than we had a first half, and
Yeah.
we did that. So
Good adjustments, good things going on. And again, you always have to preface it. The other offense wasn't doing very much at all. That gives you more opportunities.
yeah,
So again, keep it up. But Mahomes does seem like he has something to prove. He's like, you all forgot how good I am. Like
yeah,
the way that you talk. He had the flu one game, and then kind of I struggled against a good defense a little bit. With, I mean, some of it wasn't his fault. Like he still did enough to win it, but we just had some bad plays there.
yeah. Well, in the
Rough stuff.
Raiders, I know if you're on defense, you celebrate getting sacks or tackles for losses, but it's like the
Yeah,
Raiders celebrate hard when they go up early on the
yeah.
Chiefs. And it's like every game I've watched where defenses are like group celebrating and stuff against Mahomes, you're like, oh boy, you made a mistake.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, and maybe it's just they're like, well, we know we're not going to win the actual game, so let's just have our,
Yeah,
you know,
that's funny.
no more double bus rides. They're not doing that again.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, big big fan of Rasheed Rice. Big fan of Pacheco and
yep,
what he's been doing. He continues to do really well. Got a couple touchdowns. Playing hard, running hard. It's nice to see him featured more, and that we ran on the for like 1 yard. Like we're not
yeah.
doing as many cute things, which I think is good at this point. You know,
Also, I'm happy about this is just like a feel good thing. But he had that run that in the review, they're like, yeah, if the Chiefs challenged that, that would have been called a touchdown. But he got down, they placed him on the one, and he got the ball again and got the touchdown. Because, sometimes after a big play, then the other back comes in and gets the touchdown. And like, he got a touchdown. It was ruled not a touchdown, should have been. And so then he actually got the real touchdown after that. Like, yeah,
that's always good to see. I mean,
yeah,
I do think most teams will put that player in for the one play.
yeah,
It's what I normally see. But then oftentimes they're too tired, they get stopped, and then somebody else gets
yeah, yeah.
the bummer.
Especially if it's like a 50-yard run and then they put in some fresh
Yeah.
legs and
Especially when they're on my fantasy team.
yeah.
Tony
Yeah, that's
Pollard's
true.
had like so many touchdowns called back this year.
Yep. Yep.
Thanks, buddy. Um, and then I didn't play you the 1 week. I was thinking that we're fine.
Do you ever see this? This is a little off topic, but like Key and Peele has a skit about refs that have players on their fantasy team. So they're trying to figure out how to call a play
Oh,
so that they can get more fantasy points. And then like the players get in on it. And it's like, okay, you throw the ball to hit, and then like, like it's pretty funny.
I'm gonna have to look that up. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love a good sketch. I think good, funny humor stuff is something that I miss in this world of like short little clips and stuff.
Yep.
It's a
Yeah.
good old fashioned sketch. Old the old another thing that's pretty close to me, the Dude Perfect. The old
Yep.
like basketball stereotypes, some of the old videos there.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just old and it's nostalgic, but I feel like some of them had some really good comedy gold that some
Yeah.
less.
Yep.
But anyway, enough about those videos. Other parts of the Raiders game, obviously we go down 2 touchdowns. We get our act together, end up winning by a couple touchdowns. It's great. Good job. You took care of business. You came back. You got some points in the half. So that means we're making good adjustments. Um, that's the main thing we've been struggling. We haven't, the second half of most of any game is going to be based on how well you adjusted to the defense
Yeah.
and if you're executing. So it's a lot of more executing outside of the structure, especially with Mahomes. So anyway, throw to Rasheed Rice. That's our solution.
That's our
Want to score
solution.
touchdowns second half? Feed
Yeah.
Pacheco, throw to Rashee Rice, and Travis Kelce will do his thing. Mahomes will hit some good dimes, and you know, just don't drop
And
the balls.
we learned it is indeed possible for Kelsey to have a good game without Taylor Swift being in attendance. So
Yes. No, we don't want to jinx it. Taylor
we don't
Swift,
want to
please
jinx
come to
it.
our next game.
But also Taylor Swift come to the Super Bowl when we're there.
Oh yeah, come to
Do
the
it.
Super Bowl.
You
Well,
don't need
every playoff game and then the Super Bowl.
yes, do it. You gotta support your boo thing. So
Ah, that's awesome. Yeah, so I'm just glad to hear us win. It's so funny as a Chiefs fan. It's weird to be down 2 touchdowns, and just the way things have been going, we're like, we're gonna have to explain why we lost the Raiders.
yeah.
I was
And
like, I really, I was like, yeah, probably not.
I wasn't worried. I know we have the ability to come back from any of those games. It's just whether or not we will. Um, and honestly, the good news is we have a much easier second part of the season than we've had so far. Or I guess like last, third or whatever. Obviously the Bills can be really good. Josh Allen has been really struggling this year, and so I expect there to be turnovers when we play him. But the Bengals is not going to be nearly as much of a game as we expected it to be. Just because I don't see them being really tough
Right? They have
without
a backup
Joe
quarterback.
Burrow.
We talked
Yeah.
about that.
So we really we could win out. And I think if we win out, we have the first seed because I think we don't have a head-to-head matchup, but I think the Ravens have more division losses or more conference losses. So I think we might have the tiebreaker over them. But yeah, so
That's a good.
let's take
That's
care of business.
I like. Yeah, take care of business. I like it. Now I will say the Josh Allen. I've read that and heard that he's probably just gotten unlucky with some of his turnovers. That he's got the highest percentage of turnovers, but not necessarily the highest percentage of turnover worthy plays, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but that's been a problem he's always had. So it definitely could have a few, but I would be hesitant. I think the Bills have somewhat gotten a little unlucky. So
yeah, I agree. I think they can beat anybody. I think there's 2 secrets to beating Josh Allen. I think the first is go against him in overtime. That seems to be a weakness of his. But the other thing I think is he's got a really strong arm, so I think he has a lot of confidence to fit the ball in quickly in a tough window. But I also think that means he sometimes throws in places quickly without looking to see if there's actually a better option. Like even they made a touchdown on this play, but I remember watching towards the end of the game that it was a play action, and then it was a quick strike to the middle, and it was a great pass. So I think, man, like he had to kind of determine that's where he was going, before. And I think that's always a dangerous situation because if you've got somebody who's paying attention on defense, that can easily be a turnover too.
Yeah.
So
it's true. So we'll see how our game with the Packers goes. But like you said, we take care of business like we did with the Raiders. Could win out. Go Chiefs. Let's keep plowing through that. It's always rice, baby. Yeah. Oh man. I'm excited. Sunday Night Football. Get to watch the Chiefs in prime time. That's always good. Sometimes with the earlier games, they get pushed out or something like that, and then you're just like, not as exciting, not as much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's nice for you for the Sunday night games. This will show that I'm getting old, but I'll obviously watch the whole game. But man, one problem with the Sunday night games is it goes to like 11:30 here.
Oh, that's true.
And then if it's a win, I'm too pumped to go to sleep for a little while. If it's a lose, I'm too frustrated. If it's a loss, I'm too frustrated to go to sleep for a while. So I always end up staying up later than I want to.
All right, you heard it here, Chiefs. Don't lose because Joel needs his beauty sleep.
I do. This beard, it doesn't.
This beard doesn't grow itself.
It doesn't grow itself.
Oh man, awesome. Well, hey, let's keep making up puns and Having a good
and
time.
striving to be cool.
Striving to be cool.
right.
I'm not sure the puns will get us there, but that's not going to stop us from trying.
That's not going to stop us from trying.
All right, man. See you next week.
See you next time.